Hi, I'm Matt McCourt, and this is US Metal TV, and I don't know how many shows I got left in me before I can't see the goddamn camera, but I got a new camera, so hopefully you'll be able to see it, and I'll get some help here, but yeah, here we go. It's 2021. The COVID pandemic has been going on for about a year right now, so I got a lot of stuff done while we were closed down that I didn't get done while I was working my ass off every day. And one of them was my website, which is usmetal.com. And I worked day and night for 3 or 4 months constantly and made a lot of videos and redid the whole thing with minimal typos, by the way. For those of you smart asses who say, use spell check. Spell check's not going to correct your typing. In fact, it'll put up words that you've never heard before that don't exist. So just read through it, people. I got a lot to say, but I say it best on TikTok and Instagram because you don't really type there. You talk on camera, and that seems to be what I excel at. So people have asked me, so how did you start? What is your first musical memory? And the first musical memory I had was my mom and I were living at my grandma's house on 82nd and Burnside, 84th and Burnside, with my grandmother, and it was the Beatles. The Beatles were on the radio. My grandma had she built the house, and she had this huge stereo, very loud tube amp that had speakers in the wall, and had an AM radio on it. That's all there was. And there would, Kissin' Radio would crank the Beatles all the time. So I'd go around and play air guitar on my shirt, and my grandma used to say, "You're going to wear your shirt out." And I had a strange upbringing. My mom worked at Madison High School, and my grandmother, Nana, would take me on her rounds. She used to sew drapes by hand in the basement. And she'd get me gussied up and take me around, go see my Aunt Catherine. But my first musical experience was the Beatles, and I saw the Beatles on TV. I haven't had any beer yet. That's my orange juice. I can't get going until like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. Then it sucks, man. I have no energy. That's another thing that happened during the COVID the first year of the COVID. I got a case of Bell's palsy. I might have gotten a tick, because now I'm starting to see this thing in my leg that I used to go outside, and we've got, it's a huge backyard and trees, and maybe a tick climbed onto my leg and decided, I'm going to suck your blood. It wouldn't be the first time somebody climbed on me and said well, anyway. I saw the Beatles on TV. The first one wasn't Ed Sullivan. It was another show, my mom says. And then when the Beatles were coming back, that was a big deal. I was going to get ready and sit in front of the TV when the Beatles came on Ed Sullivan. And I saw that. And I was about 4 years old then. I was about 3, I think, before that. But the Beatles really did. I said, hey, I want to do that. I liked how the people treated them, and it was really cool. People screaming. I guess I might have been starved for attention, being an only child in a large family of adults, and so I was always acting. I've been acting my entire life. I'm not acting right now, though, but yeah, it was the Beatles. And that progressed, and my mom bought a lot of records, so I had a good record collection by the time I was 7 years old. And a lot of kids I went to kindergarten, and I had nothing in common with any of these people, because I was total rock and roll. I got into football later, but it all started way back then, this disease called rock and rollish. And I wanted to be a rock star. I figured that if you were a rock star, you'd be rich and famous, but it depends on the kind of deal you make with the devil at the crossroads, which is another story I learned later on. And I used to go down in the basement, and in this very basement with the lights off, and sing and play a guitar and sing the blues and sing what I wanted, but I should have asked for money. I'm going to ask you for money right now, because I've got T-shirts. I've got 6 T-shirt designs: Wild Dogs, Dr. Mastermind, Mayhem, and a couple more Wild Dogs. The original Wild Dogs logo that we used on our T-shirts in 1982 on our first T-shirts when we played in San Francisco and Seattle. And there's another T-shirt with the first album cover on it and a saw blade. I call it the saw blade design. And then the red and yellow logo that's an adaptation of The Man's Best Friend. And then there's Mayhem with the 4 skulls. It's pretty cool. And then Dr. Mastermind, a cartoon that Mark Berryman drew. And let's see, is that 5 or 6? You got to ask yourself, did I talk about 5 or 6 T-shirts? Well, go to usmetal.com, and you can see them for yourself. And I sell them there, and it's for sale at eBay, and there's some packages with the Mayhem shirt and the Mayhem CD, which has brand new inserts, and Dr. Mastermind has new inserts to commemorate the 35 years that album has been out. The Wild Dog started 40 years ago in 1981 on the tail end of the Ravers, and actually it was a bunch of people. Well, not a bunch of people. It was Pete Holmes, Jeff Horton, Mike Landauer, and me, who needed a bass player. And we did some gigs to fulfill some bookings that I'd made with the Ravers, but the drummer had left. So let's see. Okay, that's enough of me plugging my stuff. Hey, what I want to do now, I found a video of Motorhead, because I love Motorhead, as you can see by the hat. And I shot Motorhead in 1999 and 2000. And in 2000, I got to know Mickey D's drum tech, Vito DeVito, whose family owns Danmar Percussion. And they make hoops and stuff for kick pedal beaters and kick pedal pads. And anyway, he invented this thing called the J-hoop. And that was a quick release snare hoop, so you don't have to take on a regular snare head. It's a pain to change a head because you have to take out all those screws, pull the head off, pull the rim off, put the head on, and then redo it. This thing allows you to loosen the lugs, which are screws, and then you can rotate the rim and then just pull it off. He said I'll let Vito tell you the story. He was he played with Kirk James, and he knew these guys knew about Dr. Mastermind the year before. And so I decided to do a little special on him, but I never got it aired on cable or YouTube. And, let's go. So let's get back to my musical history. I started playing the piano that we have. In fact, if you need a piano, it's beautiful. It's upstairs, but there's a few keys broken. It was made when plastic was first invented, and it got brittle after a while. And I thought I was Elton John, and when I was like 20. And I was banging on it and broke like 6 of the keys, and they don't work. And the hammers are made of the same plastic. And we're trying to give it away. It's a great, you could take the guts out of it and put an electric piano in there, and it would be amazing for your living room. It's an Art Deco thing, and maybe I'll take a picture of it and put it up later. But anyway, I played the piano, and then my mom got me this plastic guitar, as you can see. So I would play that around the house. And then my mom got married, and we moved over to the west side, which was kind of a uppity neighborhood. But now it's compared to the east side and the north side, which was really cheap at the time because it was known as the black area. Because for a long time, Portland was so segregated that if you were a non-white, you were not allowed to own, buy, or rent or lease any property outside of this certain area, which was south of Broadway, east of 15th, and nothing downtown on the west side. You had to go across the river to go have lunch because they wouldn't serve black people, non-white, but pretty much it was black people because that was the only non-white here. I'm sure there's a lot, don't get mad at me, but I'm trying to do this quick. And so in this area, it was a very Jewish neighborhood. My stepdad was Jewish, and my step-grandfather was like a Jewish mobster. He came out from Chicago in the 30s and ran gambling rackets and slot machines. We had this basement filled with slot machines that worked at one time, and they paid out. And a lot of them were rigged, so they would only hit every certain time. He got into the vending business later after he got out of jail, and for tax evasion. There was a murder in there someplace, but yeah. Lester Beckman, the king of the slots. I can't remember what book that's in, but Colleen Britt had sent me a clipping of this book, and I didn't know all this stuff. He was a big supporter and gave a lot of money to the Jewish Community Center, which used to be across the street. And Bryce Van Patten used to live in the place that was a Jewish Community Center. That's above Poverty Palace is what we used to call this low-income home housing thing. This down in this valley, you can't see it from any end of the road. It's so there's a little segregation going on here too. But anyway, I lived up the street from Neve Shalom. So I kept saying, what's a goy like me doing in a place like this? My very first friend when I moved here was Osriel Feifel, Ozzy. So I knew an Ozzy long before Black Sabbath. His dad was a cancer, and I think that might have had some bearing on my singing. And between him and my Swiss friend, Eric Frey, who was known as Erie Boner in the Poison Idea legacy, that's where I learned how to sing. But I got into drums when I was 7 years old, and my mom got me a drum set for Christmas, this Remo drum set, and Sgt. Pepper's had come out. And so my grandfather was a drummer in the jazz scene, and he played 7 nights a week, and that was like in the 40s. And, guys who didn't go to the war hung out here and had a good time and felt guilty about it afterwards. But I learned Mama Papa, and that was the beat that Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was based on. And so I figured they couldn't hear me right above them because I had this upstairs attic room. I still do. And I spent pretty much my whole life in this house except for about a dozen years when I was married and living on the east side in North Portland. But I'd get up in the middle of the night inspired to turn my record player on with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band and play to it, which never failed to wake my stepdad out of his drunken stupor and come up and tell me to turn it down. And the first few times he was nice about it, and the rest he was not very nice. But I took drum lessons from a guy named Hayden Boggs, who started this thing called the Living Enrichment Center, and it was at the Westgate Theater, but he was also doing drum lessons. So when I went to take drum lessons, I expected a real drum kit, and no, it was just a bunch of Remo pads, which I was really let down. And that was at Beaverton Music, and then I got a guitar, and it had 4 strings on it because I broke 2 of them trying to tune it without knowing how to tune it. And so I'd learned a whole bunch on how to tune the guitar and do chords before I could go into the Fred Meyer music store, which had records, guitars and guitar strings, and because Beaverton Music was a kind of a ways off, so I went to the Raleigh Hills Fred Meyers, which was new at the time, and I bought a couple strings, and I bought a pitch pipe, which I didn't really know how to use, but I taught myself some chords to start off with. And by 6th grade, I was playing a little guitar. And 7th grade, I had an electric guitar, which I smashed at this party and on my 15th birthday, and with a strobe light going on. I had a little stage right behind where the green screen is. I had a little stage built, and it was out of 2x4s, and I was no carpenter. But I'd go down here and fake it. That's the one of the magic things about being an only child and a mom that worked. You spend a lot of time. I spent a lot of time alone, and I actually like it. So this COVID thing, I don't mind this at all. And I think we're going to come into another. I know people have been saying, "Will you stop with the comments?" It's like denial is denial. I've done denial. All I did was got me drunk. And it took me years to cure that one. But that's what happens after you drink a couple of fifths of vodka, or no, black velvet, whiskey. Oh, no, that was a month before. Yeah, I went to go meet Paul Gilbert. Mr. Big and Winger were playing in Portland. And this is a wacky story. So they're playing in Portland. I went down to meet them. It was my wife and our anniversary. My wife and I. That makes sense, doesn't it? And it was our I don't know. I can't remember. 1989, and we were living in the warehouse. And the day it was great because I wasn't drunk. And then I went back to the show, and I was so drunk that my ex-wife Angie would not go with me, and I went by myself. I stopped and got a Foster's beer on the way, and by the time I got there, I was blotto and belligerent. Now, some people say I make some belligerent comments on Facebook. Some people tell their mom to tell me, "Hey, will you stop putting those belligerent remarks on?" Both her son and 2 sisters, they called her instead of me. I must be so scary. I actually am, but that's another story. You don't want me on your bad side. So I ripped out a couple of rows of chairs in the balcony of my favorite venue, Starry Night, which was my home venue forever. And, the guys, what's up with you? I go, I'm a little drunk. And I was groping people, and none of the people seemed to mind it, but the people that worked there didn't like it. So they threw me out once. They threw me out twice. I got back in, and after Mr. Big set, I went downstairs into the dressing room, and I knocked first, and I had talked to Paul Gilbert quite a bit before this on the phone, but never actually met him when he lived in Pennsylvania. And I opened the door, and I thought, man, you guys, your records are hit records. They should feed you. You guys are so fucking skinny, man. And I said that. I do remember that. I remember that, and I remember a knock on the door thinking, and I said, oh, there's my ride. And it was their security guys and roadies, and they drugged me. If you've ever been downstairs into the Starry Night, they drugged me across the floor by my legs, and then up the stairs, and my head, and falling. Weird that my keys and my wallet were still intact. My head hit each stair as they drugged me up the stairs, boom, 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 and then threw me out the back landing door into the dumpster, the one with the food. And it smelled like, rotten milk, that horrible smell. By that time, in between times I got thrown out. Well, that was when Portland was not developed or progressive, and things were still closed down there, and there was a million drug dealers outside, going Chiva Coca. It was all Mexican guys. So I had a ton of money, and I bought like $50 worth of heroin, and I ate it. And so I was fucking blottoed, man. Whoops, I was hurting though, but from getting tossed out I was purple. The next morning, I looked in the mirror, and I was black and blue from my neck down. It looked like I had a lousy tattoo. And a month later, I was doing some errands for my Aunt Catherine. And I got off probation from stealing my paycheck at the villa. That's a whole nother chapter. But decided I'd have a little drink and got like a half a pint of vodka at the Hillsdale liquor store when I was at the bank. And I saw Andre, the owner of Poncho's. My mom worked at Poncho's restaurant forever. And we always were like family. He said, "Hey, Matt, come on over." This is like 10 o'clock in the morning. And so we had a couple of stiff drinks there, and then that only fueled it up. Like I said, I've dealt with denial before. All it did was get me drunk. So I bought a pint then, and then a thing of orange juice, and just kind of drank them together. It was like a two-handed screwdriver. Anyway, after 6 of these, I was at my warehouse. I was not happy, period, okay? My band had gotten rid of me, and I lived at this warehouse, and it was pretty cool, but life, I guess, it's kind of sucked. I had a lot of stuff that I needed to deal with, which I'm much better today after years of rehab and stuff. So anyway, that's in a book called Tales from Hell, Stories Off the Road, but I don't have that book down here, no? No? Okay. I'm all by myself. I'm talking to my imaginary friends like always. I have no crew. Most of my friends are dead. 164 people I know are dead. Only 3 in Europe, though. So there must be something about Portland that makes people want to kill themselves. And this is before everybody started flocking here because you can be weird in Portland. Well, I was weird in Portland and nobody liked me. And but hey, speaking of the Wild Dogs and 40th anniversary, Dylan Laviolette, he owns Head Split Records. He's an amazing drummer. He played with Cemetery Lust and did records with Steve Broy and the Mentors. But he has a record label with a ton of cassette albums. And so the Wild Dogs' first album is coming out on cassette on the label. And I gave him a lot of stuff to work with and stories and posters. And so it's chock full of all the memorabilia you would find at usmetal.com. But you can get it for free at usmetal.com. If you want the CDs, I sell that too. I have 16 CDs that I sell. There's 5 of them from the 80s, and then, let's see, 11 that I did later. Actually, there's 36, but I give 20 some away for a freebie. So if you buy a CD from me, I'll give you a special link, and you can go download your brains out. Because I like to give gifts away. Let's see. Let's go back to another video. Surprised me. So I don't know what the hell this is going to be, but it's going to be something, I'm still mining my own. I have so much stuff I shot in the 90s. It might be Creator or Megadeth. Maybe let's do some Megadeth. I shot Megadeth on one of the last gigs that Marty Friedman was in the band. He was quitting, and I saw them in their underwear, and which is a line from a song called Born to Rock Forever. And the last time I saw them, it was they couldn't get their wardrobes downstairs to the dressing room, so they used the landing, or they threw me out in the garbage can as their dressing room. So I walked into that room, a little place, and they're all Dave Mustaine, and everybody's in their skivvies. And yeah, white ones, nothing fancy. And so, hey, let's go for a Megadeth cartoon right here from the Starry Night. Because I don't think it was the Roseland yet. Well, when did it change? It might have been the Roseland, but I don't know. I don't think Larry was there. Okay, let's go. Yeah, this is a new camera system, so I'm not sure how it's going to look. And the other one's just set up and has been left here for the last 10 years. So I've been doing stuff. And it's a much nicer basement now because we got rid of that stupid stinky furnace. It was I still call it the demon in the basement because as soon as it went away, I started getting better from this palsy thing. I still, as you can tell, I can talk better now, but for a while it was really bad. It's like, half my face doesn't want to cooperate. But that's the story of my life. I just don't want to cooperate. Well, Hey, let's do something funny because, we need a little laughter with all this crap going on. And, if I bum you out with some comments, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to. Hey, that's it. Russell Brand. I love Russell Brand, as you can tell from the last Cable Access show. And Russell Brand has become quite a guy in the news to talk about current events and things that are happening. And he's got a series of videos on the Great Reset. And I've contacted him, and I'm waiting for a second contact back to. They're going to give me permission to air some of the YouTube videos. And man, this is just a weird time, man. I was hoping for something better when I was this age. And for all you people that are half my age, I don't pray much, but I'm going to say a prayer for you. Say a little prayer for me. Yeah. This is like a science fiction movie, and I feel like Sarah Connor. That would be the Terminator, right? Yeah. Okay, let's go for some more video from Matt's archives. The vault, if you will.
Hello, I'm John Hannum. You may not know me, but I spent most of my life discovering the galaxy's most strange and bizarre life forms. After a near-death experience, I returned to planet Earth and acquired WAM Productions. As you may know, WAM Production has been involved in some of the most strange and bizarre, yet sordid documentaries known to man. Tonight is no exception. Join me now as we enter into Mad Magazine's A Lighter Side.
Sir?
Yeah?
Do you know why I stopped you?
No.
Well, the speed limit's 20 miles an hour. You're doing at least 50.
Oh, heck, I was doing at least 75.
Excuse me, officer, you can't believe a word this man says.
Why not?
Because he always exaggerates when he's drunk.
You been drinking, sir?
Yeah.
I heard, she told me. I can't believe it. I know, I heard she told me. I can't believe it. What is wrong with these people? I can't believe it.
Come on, Jenny, get off the phone. Everybody's waiting for you. Been on that thing all day.
If I had a cordless phone like everyone else in the world, maybe I could get more than one thing done at a time. I could be out there and I could talk on the phone too.
I don't want you to talk on the phone. You're practically married to the damn thing instead of me. Now, come on, hang up.
I'm not done yet. Could you just get me a cordless phone? Please, honey, please. That's all I want is a cordless phone. Please, baby.
So if I get you a cordless phone, you'll come out here, you'll take care of your friends who've come over and waited all day, and everything is gonna be fine and dandy, right?
I promise. I love you, Snowcoats.
You promise?
I promise.
I've got a surprise for you. Don't go away.
Funny man. I know. I'm very lucky. I think he's got a present for me. I think it's the cordless phone I've been wanting. Oh, we'll just see. We'll see. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Amazing. Oh, wait, here it comes. Here it comes. All right. Bye-bye. Hi, honey.
I got something for you.
Present.
Yeah, betcha.
Really?
Can you guess what it is?
A cordless phone?
That's right.
Honey, no! Oh.
Here's your cordless phone, honey.
May I help you?
Do you have something for a bad case of the hiccups?
I certainly do.
Boo! Hey, what are you trying to do? Give me a heart attack?
Your hiccups are gone, aren't they? It works every time.
I was asking for my wife back home!
What's all that damn racket?
Racket, Dad. This is heavy metal.
Heavy metal. When I was a kid, those who couldn't sing were called listeners. Today they're called rock stars. Don't give me that attitude. I give up.
Oh, God. I'm so sorry. I'm such a klutz. I messed up your old carpet.
That's okay. I'll get a broom.
I'll clean it up.
So this is kind of a test show, test run, and I'm going to take off now. I don't know how much time we got in here, but whatever it is, it's going to go up to cable access and YouTube. And visit usmetal.com, and I will talk to you later. This show was made at 25 FPS. I could do 50, which would make it crisper. So I think I'll do another show later on today and shoot it at 50 and see what happens. Okay? You have a good one. I'm Matt McCourt. This is US Metal TV from usmetal.com and Macomb Entertainment. Thank you. Good night.